We are live. So I'll just do the opening. Hello, everyone, and welcome. Thanks for joining us. This is another exciting Web3 Stronger Together event that we have. This is happening in the metaverse of Eveland. Go check it out or on YouTube. And we want to explore the limitless and potentials of Web3 together. So today, you guys have 55 minutes to talk, chit chat together. And the topic today is the killer apps for Web3 and what will really drive mass adoption. So just share what your thoughts are and be respectful of each other's opinion. Just um, have your own thoughts and share it. And I'll be in the back. You guys can just talk. You don't need a moderator. If you need my help, just message on the private chat, and I'll come back if I need to. So also remember there is Netizen, which is the gamification of if you do some action on Telegram, on Twitter, using the hashtag Web3 Stronger Together. You come into the contest to potentially win a prize. So it's happening until 3 p.m. today, and then that will stop at 3 p.m. So, all right. So now let's kick off this Web3 virtual meetup, and you guys are just chit-chatting with each other. And if you need me, let me know.
Thank you, Martin.
Thank you, Martin. Nice to meet you guys. So I suggest that each one maybe introduce quickly itself, and let's talk like a friend's conversation. I'm really excited to share with you.
Well, I guess, Laurent, since I'm on the main display, maybe I can start by, we can start by me. So, hi, everyone. Glad to be here. Glad to be talking to you today and exploring the different ways, different opinions on how we'll be driving mass adoption, each one from his own side and using their own project and technologies. I'm Hamza, project owner of CitySite. CitySite is a game-changing platform that aims actually on the same topic to drive mass adoption by leveraging what we call a contribute-to-earn model to reward users of our app tokens for their contribution to our AI model that then is used by businesses to improve their daily operations, marketing campaigns, and so on and so forth.
Philip.
Hi guys, my name is Philip from Thanks Network. We enable organizations to launch digital assets such as tokens quickly on the blockchain. While we want to emphasize on gamification using blockchain technology, so loyalty programs in Web3. Next to loyalty tokens, you can also launch NFTs and utilize those NFTs on the blockchain to engage with your following and users. So think about socios and engagement, and the possibilities are kind of endless. So we do a number of things like enabling users to earn daily referral rewards, conditional rewards, and milestone rewards for various behaviors in apps and games. So huge product market fit in the booming gaming space we have. And I think, there's a lot of potential in Web3 in that space, and there's a lot of killer apps in this to drive mass adoption. So that's a little bit about me, what I'm doing in this space at the moment. Been involved in a lot of other projects, like especially DeFi, around that genre. So yeah, keen to chat with you all, and that's a little bit about me. On to the next guy.
Welcome, Philip. Evgeny, maybe? Oh, David.
Okay.
The legend.
Wouldn't call me that. I've been in crypto, for quite a while, since the start now. Currently, I'm working on RTM, Raptorium, which is a proof of work blockchain, which is different from most of the rest of Web3. And we're building a lot of unique solutions where basically we aim for smaller businesses to be able to use blockchain technology without having to deal with the hassle of first going into crypto. They can directly leverage blockchain tech with a credit card, with a simple fiat payment. That's where we're looking to get to. We've got a daughter project called Nowput, the Nowput DAO and Nowput.finance, which is DeFi, but without all the EVM problems, because we've gone back and are building DeFi on UTXO blockchains. We have RTM live, Bitcoin testnet live, Litecoin testnet live, offering binary options with later additional things coming on top of that. Otherwise, we've really got to decide one thing though, and that is, what is mass adoption? Is mass adoption that we get a lot of use inside the Web3 space, or is it we get a lot of use from outside it? Because those are two completely different things. And I think a lot of projects don't make that distinction. They just want a lot of users and don't really care where they're from. Because what is mass adoption if we're sort of stuck in this circle, feeding on our own tails? We're not really going to get anywhere. Yeah.
Thanks, David, for opening the debate. Evgeny, maybe?
Yeah. Hi, everyone. Delighted to be here and chat with you about the space. So my name is Evgeny. I'm the founder of Re7 Capital. We're DeFi liquidity providers primarily. So for the last few years, we've been running some funds, investment funds, where what we do is provide liquidity to DeFi lending protocols, trading protocols. We underwrite smart contract risk and basically operate within the DeFi ecosystem as a practitioner and a kind of capital deployer. That's having kind of spent quite a bit of time in that universe, I completely echo what David is saying, because we're seeing that there is some adoption, there is some traction. There are thousands of people who play on the blockchain every single day. They move a lot of money around and they do various things. But if God forbid we get 1 million people to come onto the blockchain, it will all come to a halt, right? So it's one thing to scale within the ecosystem, but I guess what we're here to discuss is how to get this to real people in the real world and add value to them as well. So yeah, excited to participate.
Thank you, Evgeny. So I will quickly introduce myself. I will keep it short. I'm the co-founder of Web3 Stronger Together. Thanks again, all you guys, for being there, bringing your perspective, your vision, and all people who are listening, watching this. I'm also now the co-founder and CEO of Artera, a DAG blockchain, fully EVM. We take the best of EVM, we take the best of DAG, we make a fusion, and for much more than this, let's say, a technical approach, we bring a new business model to contribute to solve this dilemma. We will talk about mass adoption, and I do agree, guys. What is mass adoption? We talk about what kind of people, what do we want to deliver, and I'm excited. We want to start. What is your definition of mass adoption, guys?
Well, maybe, I will jump and give you my definition. Throughout the years, I've been working in different products before on Web 2, now on the Web3 side of things. And for me, mass adoptions resumes in one simple sentence. It's a product that even my grandma can use. As simple as that. So this englobes, I think, and reflects what is mass adoption. It's a product so easy to use that each and everyone, without prior knowledge, without effort, can just jump on board and use it. So we saw it when smartphones came into being, easy to use again, then followed by apps and so on, the likes of social media apps and so on, where the onboarding was really easy, that millions or even billions of people flocked into those products and just adopted them on their daily usage. So for me, this is mass adoption. And that touch a bit on what David said in the beginning, because we could argue that mass adoption within the ecosystem, but I think that we are here more to talk about how to bring the next billion user to the ecosystem, not how to just drive more users from Web3 from one app to another, the app or something like that.
Yep,
that's
what
Evgeny?
And that, so I completely agree with this. And what this means is that we firstly need to have something to offer. We provide a product that is useful and that's valuable. And we also need to have the technology that enables that scalability, right? Because I remember how in 2017, Ethereum came to kind of a halt temporarily when Kubernetes came out, right? And people were, there were not so many transactions and the chain got congested, right? So now we're at a much better place, both with the Ethereum ecosystem and beyond it, with some of the faster chains, right? So we can do more than 5 years ago, but it's still very, very far away from being able to do what, Visa alone is doing, let alone everything together. So the tech needs to be there. And I think realistically for now, all we can keep doing is we need to keep experimenting with, whether it's DeFi, whether it's NFTs or what have you, to keep getting some traction whilst very heavily investing into the infrastructure, because there is still a lot that has to be done.
I totally agree with you. Yeah.
David, if not,
yeah, but I mean, you guys have both raised some really good and valid points. I mean, it's all about getting new people into blockchain one way or the other, not necessarily as blockchain users, but blockchain service customers. Could be something as simple as made in whatever place campaigns. For example, if you want to support your local economy, you run a simple project where you can scan a product and get an NFT issued on chain that contains all the information on where the product was made, how it was done, etc. I can think of several teams who would actually happily support that for free for users, provided that it's not available to everybody, but only to somebody responsible for ensuring quality in the certification process. We need to get away from the whole concept of payments and financial services, because that's not where we're going to get mass adoption from. Payments and financial services we can talk about in a bull market if everything is mooning and people have a lot of extra money and they're willing to take the risk and make the massive investment, protracted investment. For a medium-sized business, switching to accepting crypto payments is a $250,000 to $500,000 endeavor, depending on where they are. To start to accept those for most of their products, it's not cheap. They need legal consultation. They need all kinds of things. We need to move away from that. while the market conditions are what they are, and move into, as Yevgeny mentioned, NFTs with a use case, not just NFTs as NFTs, but NFTs with use of some form or another?
It's really interesting, guys. I want to share my my point of view, and really eager to get your feedback. Just to remember, I have been a cloud computing pioneer. I advise thousands of SaaS startup, and early in 2018, I started to discuss the ecosystem, saying, guys, I understand that we still have to improve what we have delivered in a technical point of view, but I think that we should also reconsider our business model and our attitude. Let me quickly explain. Based on my experience, I know how it's painful to migrate from a situation in which you feel comfortable to something totally new. And actually, we want to force people to move from Web 2 to Web 3. I do think, and it's what David introduced, we should bring the technology we built as a layer of what current users are able to use in Web 2, and not necessarily forcing them to go through a complicated process to start to enjoy. And if we think about it, the more I think and talk about what Artera brings in our industry, the more for me it's obvious. If we are only focused on offering this pay-as-you-go business model, telling to people they have to pay unpredictable fees to be able to do anything on blockchain, I don't think that we can't expect real mass adoption, that everybody will be able to use it. We have to remember that for now, more than 50% of people using blockchain comes from really poor countries. And when we see the transaction fees skyrocketing like a few weeks ago, just due to a simple meme token, PP, in a bear market, and that it has not only affected Ethereum, but a lot of layer 2 and blockchain related chain. I think it's a real problem. We don't want to talk about it since years. With Artera, we bring a solution with a subscription-based model, providing cost certainty, predictability. And I think if you think about industrial high-level usage, you need to be able to predict the cost from the end user or the builders.
If I may, I actually disagree with you, Laurent, in one of the points that you raised. Because again, going back to the definition of mass adoption, at least for me, it will be really hard to convince today with the state of the art as it is right now, to convince anyone to move from a Web 2 solution to a Web 3 solution. Basically, Evgeny pointed that when talking about the infrastructure that is really, really behind compared to what cloud, and you know how the cloud solution right now are, Laurent, with the few data centers in each continent, and the data really close to the end user and so on and so forth. So we don't need to recreate what's existing on Web 2 in Web 3, because I think that would be pointless. We rather need to bring unique solutions that benefit from the blockchain and benefit from decentralization that don't necessarily exist on a Web2 form. I can give you an example, and maybe that's a concrete example, and it joins a bit your idea when you say what you mentioned, that developing countries, to not say poor countries, developing countries use blockchain more often on a daily basis related to developed countries. So, for example, when it comes to ticketing, in a big event in developing countries, there is often the issue where few people will buy the majority of tickets from a platform, from a Web2 platform, and then sell those tickets at a higher price on a secondary market. So this is, first of all, this is illegal, from a legal point of view. And I believe in this kind of situation, the NFTs and the transparency of Web3 is just a perfect fit. So there is an issue, and it's a perfect fit to this issue. But instead of just recreating something that exists already, just moving it, saying that we are moving it to Web3, wouldn't drive mass adoption. But coming up with solutions to real-world problems, I believe that's what would make the difference. That's what will make it, people will be able to see the use case, the real use case for blockchain technology, and therefore will adopt it on their daily routines, let's say. So ticketing is one use case that I see in developing countries, but there is many more that probably I will bring up as we go into the discussion.
We want to react?
Yeah, but I'm happy to. I'm just a bit curious about why ticketing, because I mean, one of the biggest problems on the currently popular blockchains has been front running. And basically, as long as front running is a real issue and hasn't been resolved at a technical level, then something like trying to prevent ticket scalping or item scalping or whatever scalping we're talking about in the market is not technically feasible. It takes 5 minutes more to set up another couple of servers with 10,000 IPv6 proxies to buy the extra tickets from, and then it's done and dusted. I mean, if we don't fix that fundamental issue first, I agree it's a nice, simple niche where it should be able to fit in, but something like Solana and Ethereum or EVM-based blockchains aren't capable of doing it at the moment. You'd need something on a UTXO chain, which means proof of work and no front running.
Well,
You can't front run a UTXO chain because you don't have that whole additional interaction layer of contracts.
Ticketing definitely makes sense because it can open up. Imagine that you go to a concert and your ticket is in an app, and that app over time will get you more into the blockchain universe, right? So the front running and all of those kind of, let's call them financial nuances, are financial/technical nuances. They're very hard to resolve, and it'll take a long time. But it's a neat way of getting people in and making them aware of what exists. And personally, like I spend obviously most of my time in DeFi, but I personally believe that in order for us to get lots and lots of people, we need something that is completely non-financial, because the world we're in right now with high inflation, people have bigger problems to worry about than some random tokens. And I think there are two things that could really kind of make a difference. One of them is obviously gaming, right? So we've seen that tens, if not hundreds of billions of dollars have been invested into the gaming space over the last few years. I'm sure a lot of that capital will not be used productively, like it's always the case. But if history can teach us anything, then some of that capital will be used productively. And I would happily kind of make a bet that games that will be popular a few years from now, and that will be utilizing blockchain technology, they're already being worked on, right? And they will come out eventually, maybe this year, maybe next year, who knows? But I think that could help a lot. And then I think ultimately it's all about owning your own content, right? So NFTs, not just a picture of a monkey that you can trade with, but let's say you're a blogger, right, or an influencer, and you should be owning the content that you create, whether it's a video, whether it's written text, whether it's any other visual or audio or whatever representation, because then you own your content, you own your followers to a certain extent. You don't depend on a third party company charging a fee, closing your account, so on and so forth. And if we get that right, then sky's the limit.
If I can, guys, personally, I see different use case. I would be able to use a decentralized alternative to Google Drive, for example. It's coming, Pollination X on Artera. I would like to be able to use decentralized alternative to WeTransfer. It's coming, Web3 cross-share on Artera. I would like to be able to use a decentralized alternative to Pronto email. It's coming, IMU-free email on Artera. And I would like to be able to tell to people, guys, just come, make a try. You don't need any token to use it. And if you don't integrate this approach, this business model, go-to-market strategy in your core code, you will face again, like we see the emergence of account abstraction. It's just to try to patch the main issue, in my point of view. It's the unpredictable fees. And this is the main issue. We ask to people to pay first to be able to play a Web3 game, to experiment a metaverse, to interact with the blockchain. We tell them, guys, estimated fees. Imagine you have to pay fees each time you turn on the lights. Guys, we can't expect that everybody, for a lot of use cases, will accept to pay fees before being able to use or to consume. This business model is not enough, is not sustainable for mass adoption, in my point of view. The reason why we try to solve this dilemma with not only a pay-as-you-go business model, but also a subscription-based model that offer sustainability and predictability. Then we can think about what kind of use case and how to deliver it in the most easy way for each users.
I got a question, Laurent. Why would I, for example, as a company, why would I stop using Google Drive and move to your solution?
Trust me, you have a lot of people who try to find alternative because they don't trust Google, simply. And you don't want to give to Google all your data.
I mean, yeah, Google or any other service provider. I mean, what guarantees that, for example, on Artera, no one will access the data? So, do you log every single
it's a Pollination X building this. I invite you to have a look using Filecoin, IPFS, BTFS, decentralized and peer-to-peer solution. We have the technical solution. It's just the way we bring this in a simple way to each one and everyone. And being able to make a try without having to buy crypto first, I think it's the easiest way to onboard people.
Actually, I want to chime in on what David and said earlier with Hamza about the tickets. So really, I think in reality of concept is we can't fully be reliant 100% on blockchain alone. I think if you were, going into dwell into that kind of venture, you would obviously want to use both the traditional world and blockchain, because a lot of the mindset seems to be like, you have to use 100% blockchain for everything. I mean, that's just not realistic in this time and age. Like, it's very expensive, the acquisition, and you look at companies like Uber, and what makes it a successful company in the Web2 world still applies to everyday space and everyday everything. Because, look, Uber, you click a button, you book a taxi. You think of like booking, what are those houses called that you stay in for like one night?
Airbnb.
I can't remember. Yeah, B&B, you just go on an app, book, done, and we like bring the same concept into Web3. And a lot of the companies in this current day and age, or startups, they want to overcomplicate things because the technology allows you to do so. So you take a step back, look at the simple use case. The ticket idea was, brilliant. It's been done. But unfortunately, the issues that David pointed out are very, very real. And we have to figure out how do we solve these issues in the real world first. So obviously that wasn't the best example. So then we got to look at, well, what are the current trends and what are the projects doing in this space now to tackle the issue with the affordability of getting into blockchain. And we see, the gaming space is perfect example. We had some early, trial projects like StepN, a good example in Australia. You had a concept, you had an app which allowed you to get an NFT, which were running shoes, allowed you to go for a run, which was the entry, and then earn tokens, and those tokens could be used to level up your shoes. But therefore, there is barrier of entry that needs to be overcome, which was the NFT and the tokens, and those were the entry barriers. So we have to figure out how do we make that even simpler, and then therefore we can onboard the next 100,000, the next million, and then we have to afford that scalability issue that we're having with blockchain. So having a blockchain that is reliable can handle that many users. So these are real issues that we need to consistently think back, address as a team. I mean, no single project or startup can combat all of those issues. It's a huge money sink. So we all have to stick together and develop these systems and apps where it's going to be all working together. So what the magic is in this space is that we're all a bunch of pioneers, and we have to really collab and jump in, figure out what the issues are, address those issues, start building, and then making blockchain being able to be adopted the way it should be. So that's what I think. I think leverage both. Don't really put all your eggs in just like Ethereum or Solana, but try and think of how do you use IFPS, and it's no shame in having Web 2 and Web 3 components. That's my 2 cents.
Yeah, I mean, that is very correct. I mean, there is a lot of very toxic maximalism in the space where people are focused on it's got to be tech from my tech stack, and if it's not tech from my tech stack, it's bad. Whereas you actually get something much better by combining several different tech stacks. I mean, that was the whole basis for the project we started, RTM. we started by looking at getting a better contracting solution and moving tokens and assets and that kind of stuff to the protocol layer instead of having them on the contract layer, as on the contract layer they're not really sustainable. But I mean, we've also got some very interesting comments coming in. I don't know if I'm the only one who's noticed them. We've got Radu Rapinau on YouTube, who tells us that basically mass adoption will not be televised. And he is absolutely right about that. And his second comment on there he makes, where no one will even be aware they're adopting the blockchain. That's where we need to get it. We need to get it to the point where somebody is using a service, they fill in a web form, they get a QR code, they can put the QR code on their product. They don't know that this QR code is in fact an NFT that's been immutably published to a blockchain to certify their product. That's where we need to get to. Because then we've also got the same concept as what you mentioned, Philip, with it's easy to use.
Yeah, actually how we've gone about it is we've approached fashion brands and a lot of organizations and companies, and we started out simply with a QR code as we built out our SDK, and then we pivoted on to, onboarding Web3 projects as well. But you have to open up your audiences to both crowds, into the Web2 market and the Web3 market. If you want to be a startup company and generate revenue for your holders, or token holders, and make a token that is kind of useful, like a lot of people just bring out a token in this space, and this is another thing that is kind of holding back the adoption, is because we're talking about financial and kind of like incentives and DeFi and things like that. But revenue needs to be generated in a sustainable way. If you can't generate revenue for, token holders or active users of your platform in a sustainable way, then it becomes, something that's going to collapse eventually. It's not going to be realistic. I mean, that you could argue that it wouldn't, but to make something that is scalable does take a bit of time. And the simple act of verifying something on a blockchain, printing out a QR code, say I have a collectible coin, I want to get a QR code for that coin, and then that coin is verified as a digital version as well. I've got a collector's coin, a 50-cent piece or something like that. That's a great way to use blockchain. Or even a piece of clothing, I'm going to go partner up with Nike, and I got a pair of shoes. I got to get a virtual pair of shoes. I can play in this crazy metaverse game. Crazy way to get people to adopt blockchain, because you can promote a new fancy pair of shoes on the market, $250 pair of shoes, but they also get access to a game as well. And it takes a bit of networking to do that, but it's very realistic for a lot of these gaming projects to kind of think into pivoting towards that, because therefore you get more accessibility and more users to onboard into your project, because acquisition is insanely high and user retention is even harder. So to have the ability to power your project in a way that you can do it without having to rely on too much venture capital, that's the real secret. So to be bootstrapped and win is the secret. To know how to do it in the Web2 space is necessary first before the Web3 space. So, there's so many new people in this space that have no experience, somehow raising so much funding, not all of it's getting used like correct how it should be. And people are going to make mistakes, people are going to learn, but we want to make a good image for this space too. So, I think takes a lot of brilliant minds, a lot of good discussions, and I think keep it real.
Yeah, that completely echo everything you're saying, but I think as I'm kind of reflecting on our conversation, it's interesting to me that we immediately jumped into defining what a mass adoption would look like, but actually what is Web3, right? And what should it be, right? So, for example, personally, when someone says Web3, I immediately think, I visualize, Etherscan, and I visualize blockchain activity. So we'll jump into the words blockchain, crypto, NFTs, and all that. But it's as you said, Philip. We're some of the pioneers in this space, right? And we need to shape it. So maybe Web3 is not about crypto. Maybe it's not about blockchain. Maybe it's about combining blockchain with Internet of Things, and QR is one of those technologies. Maybe it's focusing on creating a better cloud environment, right, where a centralized company doesn't control all your data. So I think one of the things we as an industry need to do is we need to more clearly define what Web3 is, because these days when people think Web3, they visualize a picture of a monkey, a metaverse with like one participant and some population.
The legendary Bored Ape, yes. I can kind of see it that way, because we've had so many crazy things happen in the last bull run, and so many crazy things previously. People have forgotten the real simple things that we started with originally, and that was Bitcoin, and that was a store of value. That was kind of meant as a store of value for the financial system. And then we had Ethereum, which was smart contracts, and we wanted to make more utility on the blockchain. So, really, like, everyone's having a different idea as to why they want to use blockchain and what blockchain is, and using the power of Web3 means. So everyone's going to have a different view there. And really, I think, we have to drown out a lot of this noise as like individual projects, because what Web3 means to you might skew your vision of what Web3 means to someone else. To someone else, Web3 might mean monkeys and PP coins and things like that. But if you want to use it in a way that you think is really beneficial to someone else, because what we want to do is we want to provide benefit. At the end of the day, providing benefit is what technology has been about. It's made it so things like in our everyday life is easier. Like AI, for instance, great benefit towards a lot of people that are trying to learn, and then assistance in learning. And then we have things like smartphones, and we have communication, internet. These things help us connect with each other, and we can use Web3 for similar things, but then there's also other things we can potentially use it for. So, like, someone eventually is going to develop the next big thing. It's a matter of the idea and the concept, and the scalability and how it works. But I think there is some gems out there that are worth exploring, and it's going to change a lot of people's interpretation of this space when they do blow up. Hopefully, it won't be monkeys again, or PP.
One thing, though, I mean, I think that to a lot of ordinary users, if you say Web3, it really means scam. It means scam, a rip-off, a basic scam chain pump and dump, and a rug pull. It took Laurent a very long time to actually convince me to engage with this. I'm very skeptical by nature. I want to see that things are proven to work before I get engaged or involved with them. And I mean, the whole EVM space, Laurent is doing one of the few things that makes any sense with it, which is trying to build a better cloud. Because the centralized proof of staking system is the very antithesis of what the whole space came from. The whole space came from basically better money, better payments, better privacy. And I mean, most of the concepts that were later developed on Ethereum, they originated in discussions about Bitcoin on Bitcoin Talk. The original smart contract proposals were to put them, by Vitalik, were to put them on op return on Bitcoin. So, I mean, we've got to realize that we're not limited to the EVM tech stack here. There are an awful lot of things going on in the space where a smart contract is just about the worst possible solution, but it's what everybody does.
And combining, David, we are combining our energies, commitment, vision through Web3 Stronger Together, but it's also trying to figure out how we can each other, I mean builders, bring utility to each other, and having our behavior mindset is also part, will also contribute to facilitate mass adoption. We spend too much time to fight, to try to prove that we have the only solution. And I think Hamza say it, and all we agree. We still need to experiment. It's a lot of doing and learning, but also it's all about cooperation and not being pretending having the solution. It's a combination first, a behavior. I speculation has driven our industry since years. I think it's time to switch to thinking sustainability first, and delivering a real solution to real people, and not being engaged in let's say a technical challenge race constantly, just being focused about real people. You know, I move from Web 2 to Web 3 all day long, you know, and you too, guys. So what does it mean? You know, we are first people. So how do we consider what we bring first, bringing this to people, and not Web 2, Web 3, and how we can combine our effort, our creativity to deliver something sustainable and accessible.
Yeah. I mean, the key word, and where all of the big companies are spending a lot of their money, is business continuity. And without the concepts, sustainability, good growth models, all of that kind of stuff, there is no business continuity. Under any circumstances, it just doesn't happen. And
we have seen yesterday an example. A CEO has disappeared.
Yeah.
You know, and nobody else. You know, and this kind of topic we don't want to address. We don't want to talk about it. We miss really professional standard in our industry. We do it, you know, so inconsistent way, time to time, but generates hack. People lose their money, lose trust, and it contributes to the bad reputation.
Yep.
It's an individual and collective responsibility to improve also our standard.
I mean, one of the big things we do to try and help make it, one of the big things we do to try and help make things better whenever we see it. If we see a new wallet going around with a virus in it, we call it out. If we see a contract with a hole in it, we call it out. If we do go, if we think there is a reasonable chance of it actually being a reasonable project, we do go and do responsible disclosure. But if it's just another scam, then no, we just call it out. And a lot of people dislike me intensely for having done that quite a few times. I couldn't care less, to be perfectly honest. But I mean, it's something that you have to do when you're running a project and you've got a community attached to that project.
Yep.
If you're not looking out for your community as it's attached to your project, you're not going to have anybody willing to go out and help spread the word and get mass adoption going. It's just not going to happen.
Yeah, I agree. We should all be focused on protecting users collectively.
Yeah, I agree with you guys, and I think we're almost coming to an end, and I believe that globally we all agree that it's a lot of effort, not just a little bit, from every layer going up to the end user, from the super technical to the nice UI, nice user experience for the user to not even notice that it's Web3 or Web2, or actually they don't even care what is it underneath. They just use it. And if something happens, they can always go back and check and see, okay, this is what happened, because everything is traceable, everything is transparent, and so on and so forth. I think this is the key. And to fuel this adoption a bit more at this time, I think there need to be some kind of incentivizer to the user, just to pick their attention and just get their attention in a good way, not like the pump and dump schemes or the JPEGs, but something that actually they will use and be happy using.
Yeah, I completely agree. It's one thing that's really lacking: good, positive UX.
Yeah, really simple experience. We should keep it simple and stupid. I remember last year I entered into several events as a speaker. I said, guys, first let's do a simplification shock. Today when I DeFi using MetaMask on some DEX, I have to go through 4 steps before doing, and each time, and I do since a moment, I tell to myself, should I or not? It's just totally crazy. To improve, improving, we complicate things, and I think it's time to come back, keep it simple and stupid.
Yes, totally agree.
Someone want to say a last word before we close? Evgeny?
Well, thank you all for the time and for the interesting discussion. Clearly, one takeaway is that we'll have to go back to actually, doing some homework.
Yes.
And
but it's so exciting, guys.
So there's a lot to build, and I think there's only one thing that can, it's all about keep moving forward, right? So builders need to continue to build. Those with capital who are looking to support the ecosystem, they need to be looking for ways to deploy that capital smartly. Those who are interested to be early users, they should be experimenting, right? They should be playing with new apps, playing with new wallets, playing with new projects. I'm not talking about playing with money. I'm talking to actually using something real, right? So people should go and they should they should publish an article on Mirror and get an NFT, right? They should go and check out some of the audio streaming projects and so on and so forth. And that's how we'll get traction and eventually mass adoption.
Hey guys, I want to say something quickly before we go. Gary Gensler here says hi. So, hello guys.
Oh.
I have Sam cutouts, Gary Gensler cutouts, all the crypto villains you can think of, even BitBoy. Here we go.
The favorite.
Yeah. So it's all good fun at the end. We've been through so much trouble in Web3. I think sometimes a little bit of humor does help.
Yeah, and you know, no technical innovation will improve the human behavior.
Yeah.
It's up to us. It's not a big deal to fix this. We have, deifying some people in this industry. We should come back to, some reality, humility, saying, hold on, we don't need any God. We need to help people to bring real value to people and not reproducing the worst of what we can see in real life in a more intense way. I do think and thank Evgeny saying that VCs also have a important role in the choice they made, which project they support. We have seen that a lot of VCs last year, I've simply follow FTX, Alameda, and we have seen the result, the drama. And this is also a responsibility we should talk about because it doesn't contribute to a sustainable mass adoption.
Yes.
Thanks to you guys. It's a pleasure.
Thank
It's
you.
highly inspiring. You all know that my door is open always. I'm ready to cooperate with David. We have already started to discuss how Raptor.am and Artera could do things together. And I told him, I don't know yet, but we will find. Why? Because we are smart people and we want to co-create, and we have all in mind bringing value to real people.
Thank you.
Thanks to you guys.
Cheers, guys.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks.
Bye.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.